Pancreatic cancer kills a staggering 92% of those diagnosed with the disease. It's the third leading cause of cancer-related deaths. That's why our next guest, who lost his wife, Suzanne, that we all knew and loved, for me, 25 years, but you were married for 49 years, lost Suzanne to the disease. And you're fighting now to raise awareness and to help other patients avoid the same fate. Former GE Vice Chairman Bob Wright joins us this morning, founder of the Suzanne Wright Foundation, in memory of his late wife, and you also have the well-known, you've made it well-known, Autism Speaks logo on as well. So,
well, Autism Speaks taught me a lot about dealing with Congress and dealing with the NIH in particular, and Health and Human Services. And I could say, Joe, by the way, the website is CodePurple.org, and you can get to all of this from it. But what I'm advocating here is something very different from what other people have done. I'm not trying to get research money. There's research available. What I'm trying to argue is that we need, at the NIH and the NCI, we need leadership, we need prioritization, and we need urgency. And these things are in every business that I've ever been associated with, not-for-profit, for-profit. The Boy Scouts would do this. General Motors would do this. They do it here. When you have a problem, a serious problem, you call in a group, whether it's you calling in or somebody else calling in, they're calling you up. They say, listen, we have to do something in 10 days or 15 days or 25 days. How are we going to do this? You know, how are we going to cover the Greek crisis? God, it's costing us a fortune. What are we going to do? How many times is Michelle going to go back? All of that stuff. Right. And it has to get ironed out quickly. They do not do that. They have insulated themselves from that process at the NIH, $35 billion worth of spending. And it particularly hurts pancreatic cancer, which is the highest mortality rate of any of the cancers, and yet it's not on any priority list. It has no sense of urgency to it, and there's no leadership driving it. So that leadership's going to have to come, in this particular case, from Dr. Tom Price. But if he's probably got Obamacare for that's his umbrella, but somehow or other, it's got to get in here. There's a 21st Century Cures Act, which I believe that the president just signed off on the amendments from Congress. It's really a Republican program, heavily supported by Democrats. And it's a $6 billion package. It's going to be signed, I think, into law within the next 3 or 4 days. And my point is that's where Congress manages its own funds through the Appropriations Committee and through the OMB. But once it goes to the NIH, it's internal to the NIH.
And they make the choice. And
they make the choices, and they make the distinction what's going to get done first or second or third. It's not open to the public. It's not a discussion you can have. And we raised $3.2 billion for autism through Congress. It all went to the NIH, and I wish I could tell you that 50% of that money was well spent. I wish I could tell you that. So this is one of these things where I'm focused on pancreatic cancer, which is in desperate need. 40 years with no improvement in mortality, right. 93% deaths. It's a death disease, and there's no reason that should be the case.
Well, I guess we need a marker for early detection, don't we?
Well, there is work out there. That early detection is a perfect example. If you took 5 or 10 of the better people in the United States, they called them into the NIH and they said, we're going to give you guys $10 million. You're going to spend this within the next year and a half or year, but you're going to start working together. You from Stanford, you from Harvard. It's open. You're going to be exchanging your information on a daily or a weekly basis. We're going to monitor it. If you don't do it, you're going to get cut off on the money. We want to see results. We want to be written results every week. You can get this thing moved up so fast. That's what you do in business. You know, that's what we all do. But they don't do that, and that's my argument. And I think it's probably effective now when you see $6 billion coming that way, and that's the same kind of a thing.
Yeah, bureaucratic nightmare in a lot of. I didn't realize the NIH was quite as
bureaucratic.
Down,
well, see, it's an insulation. It gets them insulated from lobbying. That gets them the ability to say it's all science. You guys don't understand. Science moves slowly. Well, when you're giving single grants out and not packaging those grants, you know it's going to go slowly. And just think about that.
Bob, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great next endeavor.
Yep.
Let's take a quick check on the markets before we go after what was a historic morning this morning, speaking both to the newly appointed Treasury Secretary and Commerce Secretary and Wilbur Ross and Steve Mnuchin. You're looking at WTI crude at 48.79, and you're looking at the markets pretty much across the board up all in the green. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Squawk on the Street begins right now.